Let's talk about that gelato scene in the Pixar movie Luca. After watching this scene several times, I believe the two flavors Luca and Alberto get so kindly from the elderly ladies are pistachio and vanilla. The one Luca has definitely looks green, and pistachio is a fairly popular gelato flavor. The one Alberto has looks pink in some lights and white in others. I'm assuming vanilla today because I like it more than strawberry. And without further delay, let me show you how to make some homemade gelato. In a large mixing bowl, add 4 egg yolks. I have more because I'm actually doubling this recipe since I'm making it 2 different ways. Also add half a cup of granulated sugar. Whisk by hand or with a hand mixer until you get a ribbony consistency. The mixture should be very smooth and completely combined. Next, grab a medium saucepan and add to it 2 cups of whole milk. Again, these quantities are for a single batch. I am doubling the recipe in this video and also apparently making a mess. Next, add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Crank the heat to around medium or medium high and begin whisking and cooking for a few minutes until you reach around 85 degrees Celsius. It is very important not to go too hot. You do not want to boil this milk mixture. Once the milk mix has heated and simmered a bit, it is time to slowly add it to the egg mixture. While adding the milk mixture to the eggs, it is very important to be whisking constantly. You don't want to make any scrambled eggs while you're doing this. It's always nice to get a spare hand to help with this. Thank you to my lovely wife for helping pour the cream here. Keep pouring in the milk mix while whisking until about half of the mixture has been added to the eggs. After you've whisked in the first half, you should be safe to just add the second half of that mixture. And at this stage, it's ready to go back into the saucepans to be made into the flavors that you want. This base is a good starting point for many flavors. Today, we will be making pistachio and vanilla. For the pistachio, we will need to add 1/3 cup of pistachio paste. But wait, what in the world is pistachio paste? And I can't seem to find it in my grocery store. In case you had those same questions like I did, let me show you how to make pistachio paste from scratch. You're going to need 1 whole cup of, you guessed it, pistachios that have been deshelled, or you can get them with the shells already removed, but I was trying to save a couple cents, so I guess I got a nice time lapse out of it. And then we're going to want to remove the skins that are still on the nuts. One way to do this is to boil some water, add the pistachios, and turn off the heat. Let those rest for 1 to 2 minutes. We're essentially blanching the pistachios. After they've sat in the water, add the pistachios to a clean kitchen towel and use that towel to rub the skins off of the nuts. For me, this worked just okay. I still had to go through the pistachios and check which skins were still attached. You really could skip this step. Having the skins on there should just affect the consistency of the paste and also the color a little bit. Once you have all the pistachios with the shells and skins removed, it is time to add them to a food processor. In the food processor, mix and pulverize these until they actually start becoming like a paste. This will get partway there as it starts to collect on the bottom when it's starting to become more paste-like. Once it gets to that point, add 1/4 cup of water to get the right consistency for the paste. And that's it, homemade pistachio paste. That wasn't so bad. It was after this I discovered you could buy it on Amazon. Oh well. And now back to the gelato. Add the 1/3 cup of pistachio paste directly to the cream mixture and whisk that in while cooking on a low temp. You just want a low simmer, nothing boiling like before. Let this simmer and thicken for about 5 minutes. And for the vanilla flavor, it's going to be a very similar process, except instead of adding pistachio, we will add vanilla. You won't need to add a whole lot of vanilla here, only about half a teaspoon. This will also cook on low, don't let it boil, and whisk occasionally. Simmer for about 5 minutes until slightly thickened. And now that we have our 2 gelato flavors, let me show you 2 different methods to make the gelato. The first method I'll show you is by hand. No ice cream machine required. We'll use the pistachio flavor for this. Pour all of the gelato mix directly into a freezer-safe container. Something like a bread loaf pan works pretty well for this. And basically all you need to do is put it directly into the freezer, and every 30 to 45 minutes, take it out and whisk it. Whisk it to break all of those ice crystals that are starting to form. Essentially, this will help churn the ice cream, just very slowly. Where an ice cream maker might take 20 to 30 minutes to churn a whole batch of ice cream, this method will take 4 to 5 hours. Because every 30 to 45 minutes for about 4 to 5 hours, you need to take it out of the freezer and give it a whisk to break up those ice crystals. Basically, you can stop once you get to this soft serve-like consistency. Once it's about soft serve, you can cover it up with some plastic wrap and then you'll be good to go. This method is quite prone to getting an icy texture if it's not whisked enough, so make sure you whisk very thoroughly at each of those steps. And for the second method, an ice cream machine, or in my case, a KitchenAid attachment ice cream machine. This attachment actually works very well and is really easy to use. If anybody's curious, I'll leave a link to it down in the description. We're gonna make it. You gotta get in your tower.
Get your tower?
Yep. Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ready?
What?
We gotta pour it in. While the KitchenAid is running, pour in the gelato mix directly into the ice cream tub. You'll want to make sure that gelato mix has completely cooled beforehand. I actually left mine in the fridge for over an hour to make sure it got cool enough. It probably could have gone longer, but I was in a pinch. See, it's going to stir and it's going to make ice cream. And this is going to stir and churn for maybe 20 to 30 minutes. It might take less amount of time, it just depends how cold that mix was that went into the tub, and also how much mix went in. You want to keep churning this until it becomes a soft serve-like consistency. Once it's like soft serve, you're good to go. This KitchenAid attachment really does work quite well, very satisfying. It's also around this stage or just a little bit before that if you were doing some different flavors, you could add them in now. Maybe some crushed cookie pieces or some chocolate chips. But today I'm keeping it simple vanilla, what I think Luca's gelato probably was in the movie. When the gelato is all churned and has reached that soft serve-like consistency, add it to a pan or container to be put into the freezer. If your container doesn't have a top like mine, you can use some plastic wrap. It's important to keep it sealed because you want to limit the amount of ice crystals that form. Maintain maximum creaminess. And with that, both gelato flavors are ready. Depending how cold your freezer was, you might need to let these sit out to soften a bit before you scoop them up. Both mine were very hard. I guess I have a really cold freezer, of which I am very grateful for, but it does make it harder to scoop gelato when you're on a time crunch. Without further ado, let's top some cones. Looks like in Luca they use a classic sugar cone, so that's what I'm going with here. First up we had the pistachio, as well as a vanilla. Apologies for the shiny white vanilla here. I was doing this later at night when the kids were asleep and I had to use an extra light. It looks like it was a little too bright for that vanilla. But to talk about the flavors, they were excellent. Flavor of both of these was great. The pistachio really came through. The hand mixing method for making the gelato, I may have missed one or two of the whiskings. It was slightly icy, but it was still very good. But that KitchenAid attachment really does make it nice and smooth and creamy. It's quite incredible. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something along the way. If you have an idea, a request, or suggestion for something else that I should make from a Disney movie, please just let me know down in the comments. I'd really love to try it out.